Okay, so this will most likely be the first video of the year for me. If not the second video, but probably is going to end up being the first video. Yeah, I figured what better way to start off the new year of content than with a good old-fashioned Q&A. So I've done some Q&As in the past. Typically, those are either on Twitter or they've been on Instagram Live or YouTube Live. But this time I'm gonna do an official Q&A video. I posted on Twitter recently saying that I was gonna do a Q&A, and a good amount of you left some questions for me to answer. In fact, by about the second minute of me having that up, there was already way too many for me to be able to go through. So if I don't get to your question, I'm sorry about that, but I will be doing more in the future, and I'll continue doing them on live streams. But Daphne and I had picked out a couple that we were going through on our way up here, and oh, by the way, here being the Stanley Hotel, which, if you're not aware of what the Stanley Hotel is, I'll tell you. The Stanley Hotel is located in Estes Park, Colorado. It is most known for being the hotel that inspired The Shining. Stephen King had visited here back in the 70s with his wife, and he had stayed a night here, and based off of apparently some events that had occurred while he was staying here, he basically left with the entire idea for The Shining already in mind. Fun fact, the room that we're staying in is actually right next door. If you can see where I'm pointing right over there, that room right there, that's room 217. That's the room that Stephen King actually stayed in whenever he visited here back in the 70s and what inspired him to write the book The Shining. We are in room 219. We're right next to 217, which is one of the most haunted rooms in this entire hotel. And in fact, this hotel is apparently one of the top, what was it, top 10?
Top 10 most haunted in the world.
Yeah, it was one of the top 10 most haunted hotels in the world. And we're staying right next to the most haunted room in one of the most haunted hotels in the world. So this is gonna be exciting. Oh, by the way, not only was The Shining based off of this hotel, but this is also where Dumb and Dumber filmed a couple of scenes, which is pretty tight. In any case, even if we don't get any sort of paranormal activities or anything out of it, it's beautiful here. We're in a pretty cool location, so can't complain either way. Q&A time at the Stanley Hotel. This is awesome. Gonna get to some of your questions and I will start answering them. Okay. I think the only thing scarier than being in this room tonight are some of these questions that you guys are asking. Jesus Christ. Let's start. Is ketchup a smoothie? At Gone Now Pay? Gone Now Pay? Oh, Peyton. Okay. At Gone Now Pay wants to know, how do you establish yourself as a real photographer when it seems that nowadays every white girl with a Visco is considered a photographer? I feel like you can only ask that because you seem to also be a white girl, probably with Visco. But if that's not the case, I'm sorry. If it is the case, then I don't see what the problem is. You know, people tend to make fun of iPhonographers and the such or whatever for not having real cameras or real equipment or whatnot. But I don't know. I think this is kind of silly. Literally, if you have one of these right here, then you have a camera in your pocket at all times. These phones are literally designed and made to be very easy to take really nice photos. And actually, I know a lot of photographers who do a lot of work specifically with Visco and their phones. And I know that there's so much you can do. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you're using a phone, a fancy, real, professional camera, or whatever the case may be. If you're out there taking photos and making content and making art, then it really doesn't matter. At White Sweater Oz wants to know, favorite Disney movie, information that you need to know. That's a good question. If we're talking like actual Disney movies and not like Disney Channel movies, I'd probably say either Aladdin or The Lion King. I'd probably say Aladdin. I think Aladdin was probably my favorite and most watched movie whenever I was growing up. At Lie to Me Lolly? Maybe? I don't know. What's a good question to ask that you will actually answer? Not that one. How do you get so many creative shots when the show is the same every day? Realistically, it's not that hard to find new content and new things at different shows. For the most part, shows can be pretty much the same day to day. It's the same set, same songs, same cues, whether it's with the production or with with one of the band members on stage doing certain things at certain points. It all pretty much becomes second nature, but there are different ways to challenge yourself, whether that's getting that same shot, from the balcony or from front of house or from the pit or from side stage or being behind Otto's drum riser, things like that. There are certain challenges where it's like, okay, for the first half of the set, I'm only going to use a very long lens, or for the second half of the set, I'm only going to use a super wide lens. So there are different ways to challenge yourself every day, and yeah, it's not that hard. Do we ever get to see the photos that Austin took of you? Honestly, I don't even know if I have those photos still. If you remember seeing the video that I posted recently, which if you haven't yet, I will put a card up right here. I don't know if that's right, I'm new to this, but I'll put a card up so you can go and take a look at that. Austin took photos of me at a photo studio. It was a lot of fun. I didn't do so well as a model, so I don't know if I'm gonna show that. Who knows? Maybe when I get 10,000 subscribers, I'll release those photos. If I can find them, but no promises. Biggest pet peeve about music photographers. Okay, so this is something that I've been wanting to get off of my chest for a very long time about music photographers. I hate how much they always are just begging for credit and exposure and just compensation for their time and work. Like it's so obnoxious. Like literally, you're just there to take pictures, and these photographers are just roaming around, just demanding to be paid for a lot of the work that they put in is a little ridiculous. I mean, anyone with the phone can go and take those same pictures. So, but I have to take a quick break real quick because it is my girlfriend's birthday, so I'm gonna go say happy birthday to her. Ow. Okay, I am back. It is 12:01 and it is Daphne's birthday. She's actually hiding behind me over there, you can see her. Yeah, it's her birthday, and we're here in Colorado at the Stanley Hotel celebrating her birthday, amongst a lot of other things. But okay, so where was I? Nice.
I'm sorry.
At Heavenly Way wants to know if I like their dog. Yes. At Glitter Time Parks wants to know, what was your biggest achievement of 2018? In a more abstract way of putting it, I'd say that my biggest achievement of 2018 was, it's gonna sound a little bit strange, but was probably finding peace for the first time in a long time. I know that may sound a little bit strange and may sound kind of bleak in a sense, but these last few years of being a music photographer and touring full-time and, kind of dabbling in this very strange and very unique profession, it's been pretty daunting and it's been pretty tiring, and there's been a lot of different moments over the last couple of years that have been very disheartening, has been a little discouraging with actively trying to pursue this as a professional career, as a means of living. But 2018 was different. I got to do a couple of tours that meant a lot to me. I don't know, it's very humbling. Getting to shoot 5 Seconds of Summer, getting to shoot 21 Pilots, and getting to do a lot of other things outside of touring were just really, really awesome. And I know this isn't like one specific achievement, but just as a whole, I've been in a much better headspace, and things have just seemed to have been working out a little bit better after all this time. So, yeah, I don't know if that's too vague or if that's too off the wall for that question, but that's what I feel. I feel like the biggest achievement was being able to find peace and happiness with where I am in my life, and it's really nice. It's really comforting to have that. Okay, we're just gonna kind of get going through this as fast as we can. That intro was really long. I'm sorry about that, but I'm just excited to be here. Fuck. Austin is Dizzy wants to know, what's the worst and best part about traveling? I've answered this before in a live stream of mine, which, by the way, if y'all aren't watching my live streams, then I don't know what you're doing, because I go over a lot of this stuff already. So if you're one of the OGs and true fans, true stans, then you already know this. At Rudy Pink wants to know, what shows did you watch in your childhood? I feel like every generation is going to say that they grew up with the best shows from their childhood, but man, I swear, I was lucky enough to be able to grow up with the golden era of Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and back when Like, I remember when SpongeBob was airing its first episodes, and I remember when Courage the Cowardly Dog and Powerpuff Girls and Ed, Ed and Eddie and Dexter's Laboratory Laboratory, and all of those shows were just starting to come out. Rocket Power, Cat Dog, and Angry Beavers, and Ah, Real Monsters, and I just realized this person didn't ask for cartoons, they just said shows in my childhood. But yeah, I watched a lot of cartoons growing up, so let's just stick with that. Okay, let's see. At John, whoa, this is, whoa, okay. At John Rocca with 2 A's wants to know favorite Oreo flavor. Double stuffed. I don't care. Call me basic. Double stuffed Oreos. Absolute bomb. All right, let's keep going. At Glitter Times wants to know, when fans ask for pictures, does it ever weird you out or make you uncomfortable at all? Honestly, it doesn't weird me out or make me uncomfortable. I don't mind if anyone wants to come up and say hi and chat, whether it's about photography or whether it's about whatever. I've mentioned this before, but you know, if a band is on stage, whether it's water parks or whether it's someone else, and I'm like walking through the lobby of the venue or anything like that, typically I'm not able to really stop and chat and do that or disturb, you know, what's going on stage. And it kind of happens, and it's, you know, that's not a huge deal, but it's something that, you know, you always want to be cautious of, is to not really ask a lot of people to take pictures when someone's on stage. It can be distracting, it can be disrespectful for the artist up there, but besides that, it doesn't really like make me uncomfortable. I just can't really take pictures if I'm like in work mode. At City in a Garden, if my hands are cold, does that mean my ghost GF is hold dong my hands? At Sad Boy Danny wants to know, what was the worst dream you ever had? That's an interesting that's an interesting question, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I remember the worst dream I've ever had. It's very bleak, and it's not a fun memory, but yeah, I don't think I've ever had that question asked. Do you ask this of most people, just what their worst dreams are? I had a dream that I was visiting my mom, who lives out in Arizona, and one day we were out at like the town square or whatever, wherever we were, somewhere in Arizona, and we were just enjoying a day to ourselves. We were getting snacks. I think we had gotten like ice cream, just, you know, spending a nice day together. And I remember wherever we were, just this extremely loud, blaring siren. Like this siren just completely like from all around us, and I remember just seeing a bunch of people like running around, and there's a lot of panic and a lot of chaos, and just hearing these like emergency sirens that are going off in the distance. And I look at my mom in the dream, and I'm like, what is going on? I like, this is bizarre. Like, I can't make sense of, you know, what's happening. We were under attack, and I think it was declared like a state of emergency, like we were like under martial law, and like all of a sudden you just see all these planes and jets flying over. It was very bizarre. This is taking a lot longer than I wanted to, but the part that made it really, really fucking awful was, I remember being with my mom, we're like, okay, we need to get out of here. We need to start like making our way to the car. We need to like get back home. We need to go to safety, figure something out. But as we were making our way back to our car, I remember distinctly seeing one plane heading in our direction. And as it was heading towards us, I remember just looking up and getting like this sinking feeling in my chest as I saw this plane drop these bombs all around us, which sounds very strange and sounds just very odd, but I remember in that moment, whenever I saw that happening, I remember thinking, this is it. This is the end. And whenever those bombs had finally reached their impact point and the bright light happened, I remember turning to my mom and telling her that I loved her, because I knew in that moment that that was going to be the end. And right as that bright light flashed before my eyes, I woke up and woke up in my bunk, just sweating and just like heart pounding and racing. And yeah, it was terrifying. That moment of just knowing like this is going to be the end, and I have to like look at my mom and say that, you know, I love you, was just god awful. Thank you for making me remember that and relive that. I appreciate it. Anyway, back to it. At Jessica141, any new prints to sell soon? Yes. Well, kind of. Just, you know, as a reminder to everyone who asks when the next run is going to come out, these print runs that I've been doing recently are designed to be very limited, very special occasion instances. I do plan on selling more prints in the future. Hopefully, by the third time I do it, I won't run into as many hiccups as I have in the last 2 runs. By the way, if you bought prints, thank you so much, and thank you for your patience as we tried getting them sent out over the holidays. That was crazy. But yes, prints to be sold again in the future. I just don't know when or where or how or what or anything like that. But yes, eventually in the future, so keep an eye out. At Austin's Hair Dye, how long have you been doing photography? Love your work, Jawn. Hart. So I've been doing photography professionally, like full-time. It's been about 3 years, actually. We're now on the 3-year mark, because 3 years ago, this time, I was getting ready to go on my very first tour with Water Parks and Never Shop Never. So I've been doing it professionally for about 3 years, but I mean, I've been dabbling in photography and videography since I was a kid. Like, that goes way, way far back. At Bloody Doomed, would you ever make Jawn merch? This is a question I get asked a lot. That's something that I am interested in doing. I would love to put some stuff out there for everyone, whether it be some shirts, hoodies, beanies, whatever the case may be. I know a lot of people want socks. I don't know why I find that so funny to think that, you know, like I could potentially have like Jawn socks put out there. But possibly in the future. There's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to get done right now, and there are a lot of things on my bucket list that I'm really trying to achieve and accomplish, and as I'm going through those, I'm just trying to get into a place where I could really focus on something. Like if I do decide to put out some merch, then I would actually be able to do it confidently, I'd be able to do it successfully, and most importantly, I need to make sure that anyone is actually interested in that. I'll make myself a hat, I'll wear it every day, but if I put it on my website, I don't know if anyone's gonna buy anything, so yeah, maybe in the future. You know what? Jawn merch at 10,000 subs on YouTube. If you go to if you go and click subscribe right now, get me to 10,000, then I'll put out some Jawn merch. Maybe. Okay, let's try and get through a couple more. At Yizing Cow. Oh hey. Also, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce that right. Who are some photographers who inspire you? That's a great question. I was actually considering maybe making a video dedicated to some photographers that I personally look up to and why, but just to give you, I guess, a brief rundown, a couple photographers that I really like. I mean, obviously, you've got the legend himself, you got Adam Elmakias. He's really done so much to really define this alternative concert music photographer scene and industry and community that I am now finding myself to be a part of. Yeah, I feel like that just goes without saying. Adam Elmakias, absolute legend. He really paved the way for a lot of us to be able to do what we do for a living, and that's incredible. Of course, Brad Heaton, the photographer for 21 Pilots, whenever I see Brad's work, I always just look at it and I'm just constantly wondering, okay, I'm looking at these images that he's putting out and I'm trying to put myself in his shoes and trying to imagine like where he was in that moment, what it took to capture some of these images that he puts out, and it's just so like mind-blowing, the stuff that he puts out. Brad Heaton, huge fan of him. Totally geeked out when I got to meet him this last year on Warped. Maddie Vogel, who's done work with All Time Low, Paris, and most recently 30 Seconds to Mars. I think Brad Heaton said it best. Maddie Vogel has, without a doubt, the best post-processing workflow out of any photographer that I know or look up to. Seriously, Maddie's edits are just absolutely unreal. Not only is his like concert and music photography just absolutely superb, but even a lot of his just lifestyle and architecture photography is just super sublime. Yeah, Maddie Vogel is definitely another person that I look up to whenever I'm critiquing my own work. Maddie is definitely another person that I look to try and strive to be that level of greatness. God, it's getting late. It's getting late, and I don't even know if I'm talking coherently at this point, so I apologize. But then again, I don't, because this is my video, and yeah, and so you're gonna have to suck it up if I'm the one talking poorly. At Music Trash wants to know, if I could travel to anywhere in the world, where would I go? I've only ever recently been out of the country about a month ago, which was my first trip to Australia with water parks, and that was such an incredible experience. It wasn't too much of a culture shock being outside of the States because Australia is fairly similar to the US with a little subtle minor differences here and there. I would say a lot of other places that I really want to visit just to like experience the culture and different environments would be Japan or New Zealand or like I really want to see Germany and Italy and get to experience a lot of those places. I've never been to the UK, so I obviously want to go to the UK super badly. I know that there's a lot of people who've been asking when I'll go to the UK, and I'm still working on that part, but hopefully one day sooner than later. But yeah, I feel like Japan is probably my number one at this point that I really want to go and visit. At Bleed Walters wants to know, good tips for maintaining color in red hair. Just don't wash your hair, like ever. Like literally, if you dye your hair, just don't wash it for as long as you possibly can. Go as long as you can without washing your hair, and if you absolutely have to wash your hair, do it in super cold water. Do it, don't shampoo it, just condition it. Get your conditioner, get some red hair dye, mix it into your conditioner, put it all in, and boom, your hair will always be red. And it will always stain every single article of clothing and every pillow you ever rest your head on. I keep saying this, but gonna just do a couple more. At We Need to Talk 122, are you planning on doing more workshops in the future? Yes, I absolutely am. I have a lot of different ideas. A lot of you may not know this, but before I started touring, I was actually a trainer at Apple. I was so passionate about like teaching and learning and doing and facilitating events such as workshops and things like that, that I'm super excited to be able to do what I do now and share that with anyone who is interested in learning. So I absolutely plan on doing more workshops in the future. I have a lot of different classes in mind. I may do some online workshops for people who can't make them in person. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas put together, but I'm still working on those. At Callie Gazes, what's your favorite book? I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite book, but I would probably say my favorite book series would be the Hannibal series. If most of you know, is the story about Hannibal, is the book series about Hannibal Lecter, starting with Red Dragon, to Silence of the Lambs, to Hannibal Rising. Yeah, I don't know. I really loved that series. That was one of my favorite book series that I've ever read. So I'd probably say those. At HMalt03, maybe. What do you use to edit tour photos? Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. By the way, if you're not aware, you can actually go to the Adobe website and you could enroll in a photography package. It's literally only $10 a month to have Photoshop and Lightroom. So if you don't have that, or if you think it's too expensive to purchase outright, well, that's not the case anymore. Literally, adobe.com, go and take a look at it. $9.99 a month, you can get Photoshop and Lightroom, and I use those for all of my photography, not just my tour photography. So check that out. At SLFL Jamie, what's your favorite song off the new 1975 album? That one is probably going to be It's Not Living, If It's Not With You. That one does something to me. I don't even know how to describe it. That one hits in a very, very specific way. Also, I Always Want to Die. Sometimes. At Elysian Alex, maybe? Fave cereal, Reese's Puffs. Okay, I already answered all these. Was that all of them? Okay, so this video is probably already going to be a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But I guess that's pretty on brand for me. Last question. At June on Jupiter wants to know, what's the best advice you could give anyone ever? Well, that's tough. I'd probably say that the best advice that I could give anyone ever is... Okay, actually, this is going to sound pretty bleak and probably a little dark, and I apologize in advance for that, but honestly, the best advice that I could probably give anyone is... everything that we do and everything around us, for the most part, is temporary. Literally, we're out here doing whatever it is that we can to survive and to thrive and to make the most out of the time that we have while we're here. So consider the fact that whatever it is that you're wanting to do in life, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, or things that you want to pursue or learn more about or experience or anything like that, there's really and truly no reason to ever hold yourself back because of insecurities or fears or, you know, things that may seem hard right now but may not be in the future. Anything that you're wanting to do, just fucking do it. I know that sounds like so like, oh, much easier said than done because it's very general, and with a question like this, I can only be as general as that. Does that make sense? It's really late, and I'm not trying to get all existential here, but realistically, life is too short to be afraid of failure, so just go out and, I don't know, just go out and do the damn thing. Alright, so just for the sheer fact that I don't want to make this a 30-minute video, I'm going to end it there. A lot of you asked a lot of questions, a lot of them were good questions, some of them were interesting to say the least, and some of them were just not even going to address at all. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that I was able to do it. I'm glad I was able to do it here at the Stanley Hotel. Super cool. Thanks again for everyone who asked a question. So yeah, I plan on making a lot more videos. This was really fun, really exciting. I like doing this. So let me know in a comment or something if you want to see more of these, or if you want anything else in the future. Let me know. Yeah, it would help out a lot if you subscribed and liked the video and did all of that cool stuff or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm getting delirious. I thank you. Okay, that's it. All right, I'm ending it. I don't even know if that ending made sense, but yeah. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I will see you soon. Bye.